As loud as a
lion.
And as quiet as a
Cloud.
As tough as a
rhinoceros.
And as gentle as a
lamb.
As brave as a
tiger.
And as lazy as a
lizard.
And as busy as a
bee.
You put them all together.
And you got me.
Okay, honey. Okay, crawl under the covers. Jeffrey cried more than most babies, and I used to be afraid I'd abuse him. I tried to get help, but no one would believe how frightened I was. Those feelings seem to have gone away now. See you in the morning. I wanted to visit my family again. Time had passed, and I was hoping to understand and accept what had happened during my childhood.
Just straight out the door. Thank you.
I can't remember when it all started. Dad making me look at dirty pictures, touching me, making me touch him. I think I was 5 when I first tasted his semen. And soon after, he penetrated me. Dad wasn't part of this journey. There was nothing I wanted from him. When we were children, there was a court case, but everything went in his favor. He denied it then, and he still denies it. He was never imprisoned or treated for abusing us. And Mother, she wasn't able to protect us. Mother and I were never able to get really close. When the family broke up, she sent us to live with Dad and his new wife. I used to be angry, but now I was hoping somehow I could reach her. Mom is 56 and she lives with my brother Wilfred.
Hi. So nice to see you. Oh, I'm glad you came.
Let me get these things here. Oh, I'm glad to see you.
Nothing much. Same thing every day. Walk to school with the kids. You pick them up.
She seemed so fragile.
You know.
We were awkward with each other. I have this picture of you when you were 2 years old. And you are sitting on Grandma's knee. I don't know if you remember the picture. Can you remember
the
sitting?
picture, yes, I do.
You do? Well, it's unbelievable. Jeffrey looks almost the same as you do when you were 2 years old. Or I don't know. Do you think you were 2 in that picture?
Yeah, that's what Mom said I was 2.
He looks just like you. Same face.
I sure would love to see him. I really would. I haven't seen him at all yet.
I know. Well, I brought some pictures. Later I'll sit down and show you.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, he's a pretty nice kid.
Like a cigarette?
No, thanks. Maybe We've never really gotten to know each other. Our past is always coming between us.
Oh.
It's bad for the health. Soon the small talk ran out.
Yeah, it is, too.
My brother Wilfred is easier to talk to. He's 3 years younger than I am. He's been in and out of jail on assault and drug charges. We get along, but there's distance between us, too. He likes people, but it's hard for him to believe in himself. That's not hard to understand when you know his childhood was spent recovering from one beating after another.
I used to actually expect it. I used to expect it. It's hard to say or it's hard to explain, but when I was behind the corner of the counter in the stove and I was in the corner and he was kicking me and hit me and the little dog we had, he was barking, running around, trying to nip at Daddy. And he picked the dog up and he threw him. He busted the dog's back and killed the dog.
Did your friends believe you? Did they believe you when you told them you'd been abused?
People wouldn't believe. Probably if I never went through it, I wouldn't believe it either. One time when we were back on the farm, when I went to school with black eyes and fat lip, and the teacher's hassling me, what's going on? Where'd you get this from? And I finally believed somebody. I was going to trust somebody one time, And I told him, well, my dad's doing this to me. My dad did it, And their school nurse and the children's aide came down on the farm, and they asked Dad what was going on. And Dad said, what do you mean what's going on? He said, well, Wilf there, he's coming to school with black eyes and fat lips. And he said, well, geez, him and Larry got in a fight, and, they believed him.
What really makes me mad is they came there to the farm, but they never once asked Larry or me if it happened to us. They simply asked you at the school, and then they went back and spoke to Dad.
Well, I finally believed that somebody was going to help us, And when they left, like Dad used to always say, you tell anybody what goes on in their home, that's it, you're in for trouble when you come back. Nobody knows what goes on around here,
Wilfred, what do you think Dad was doing when he came downstairs into the basement? Do you remember it?
Well, I'll tell you, I didn't really know, and I was too scared to really look and find out, Later on, I know what he was doing. At the time, I was too scared to even put my head through the curtains.
So you never saw him with me?
Well, I saw him come in, and I saw him left, I saw him come down, I never walked right in when he was there. But I know what's happening, I'm not a fool.
I remember once you said you moved the curtain away and looked.
Yeah, and he was on top, yeah. But what did I know? At the time, I know now, don't get me wrong, I'm not naive, I'm not just foolish.
Do you ever think that maybe Mom was responsible for some of the abuse?
No, I think she suffered more than anybody. Mom, she lost everything. She had no control. How many times do you think she must have wanted to have an ordinary family, or husband, or she got beaten up. There's nothing she could do. We'd get it.
I sometimes wonder what kind of dad I would have wanted. What kind would you have wanted?
What kind of dad I would have wanted? Well, probably the kind of dad I could say, hey, Dad, can I borrow your car keys? Can we go play baseball? Can we go skating? Football, throw the ball around, that's what hurt me more a lot of times. Even when I was in jail, I used to see people's fathers coming in and visit them. Where's my dad? Where's my dad when I needed help? I didn't have a dad. I don't know if I envied it or what, but it used to hurt me. I used to later a lot of times to cry at night. Why? Dad, where are you? Even though I didn't have him. I loved him. Even though he wasn't there, I loved him. That's what I wanted.
Hello. Yes, is Faith Kennischuk there, please? Yes, it's Shirley Turcotte calling from Vancouver. I don't know if you remember me. It's pretty odd that I should be calling, but about 20 years ago, I lived on Pipeline Road in the house next to you. Yes, that's right. Yeah, we had all the dogs. You remember the dogs? Since I'm in Winnipeg for 4 days, I'd like to take a run out there and maybe have a chat. Dad and my stepmother Marlene used to live on a farm of sorts on Pipeline Road. We children were kept in the basement. I remember the constant fear. The school bus used to come this way. Those were some of the best moments of my childhood, sitting safely on the bus rocking me, imagining it would never stop. But it did stop to let me out, and I always got out. There was no place else to go. This time I didn't have to get out. I was just going next door. What was I like as a kid? What did I look like? Was I
grubby and nondescript? You would just disappear because you didn't have a sparkle to you at all. Very.
I think also because your clothes were of that type, there wasn't a contrast. For instance, I'm wearing you never wore anything bright. It was always kind of gray and drab, you know, and I think that in itself.
I know I had long hair. Was it
Not particularly well kept. That's why I said you would not be an appealing child.
Were we oddballs in the community? I mean, how did we fit in as a family? Could you get a sense of family? Did you think that how did we look? I mean,
when your dad moved out here with Marlene, this was originally when I was first introduced to him, I thought that Marlene was your mother, but then subsequently we found out that Marlene was not his wife and not your mother, and I don't think the community completely accepted that. At that time, everybody here was a family unit. They lived here and they had the kids, and then you came in here, and I don't think you were accepted. That was, at that time, it was a little bit sinful to live common law. Don't forget, you're talking about the 60s.
So the family sort of had this black mark to start with.
Right off the start.
The kids
Sure,
were bad, the
sure,
family's
sure.
not. Why bother getting involved with this family? I mean.
Well, yes, I guess this is part of it. I guess I look at it bad now, and this is the way it appears to me. At that time, I didn't look at it, although there was something strange about it.
They were in our house. They saw our bruises. Where were we? I needed to know how they could have overlooked us. Didn't you think it was odd that we were never there?
At the time, I had babies. I had little ones. And I was very taken up with my own family. And I would see you occasionally, but I don't think I was really aware.
See, I came from a background where there was no abuse at all, you know, and there was no reason for me to believe that some of the bruises that I might have seen on the boys were from abuse. They might have been from, you know, running and hurting or falling and hurting. But, you know, nothing seemed to be unusual.
I just want to ask you one thing. If I was 11 years old and I had bony knees and was a skinny little kid living next door, what would you do for me now? Today, how would you do it differently?
I would intervene some way. I would speak to you, at least let you speak to me. I would be there. I would be willing to listen. If there was a problem, I would report it. I think it's my responsibility. I wouldn't accept what was told to me the way I did then.
Still, it'd be quite difficult because whatever happens within the parents' own home, it's their business. And I suppose if we were to see you as being asking for help. Certainly, we would be there to assist you, but you just can't just walk over and say, what's going on here? I mean, it's still privately, that's your own father's. So I think we'd have to think about it as to how we're going to deal with it. And probably we would deal with it.
Why is it you have to go to the father?
In my particular case, my mother called the shot. But my father still had to, he was at the top of the pinnacle. He was the one, top of the hierarchy. I would want to hear what he has to say about it.
Why are fathers top of the hierarchy? If only he wanted to hear what I had to say, or my brothers. We were grubby because we weren't allowed to use the bathtub. Our clothes were gray because they were never washed. We had no sparkle because no one loved us. We were kept so isolated. I didn't know how other people lived, but I suspected it wasn't the way we did. Even now, there are so many children like I was, paralyzed, afraid to tell, and no one is asking them.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. On behalf of the officers and crew of the River Rouge, we'd like to welcome you all aboard with a very special welcome to all the passengers from out of town. Our cruise this afternoon will be on two rivers, the Red River of the North and the Assiniboine River. Right now, as we leave our dock at 312 Nairn Avenue and the Louise Bridge. The Louise Bridge, at the stern of the ship, is where the first bridge was built in the city of Winnipeg to cross the Red River. Louise Bridge.
Oh, you'll have to come and see him. He's a nice kid. Hi.
Hi.
He looks just like you. This is where I live. This is the house with,
You got a fireplace there?
Yeah, I have a fireplace.
It's nice.
And there were kite flying.
Kite flying?
Yeah, out by the ocean. Okay, and you see here? Look at, this is Jeffrey.
Yes. They're nice pictures.
I had so many questions. I knew it would be painful for both of us. I can never understand. Like, I only remember Dad as being very violent. Was he ever a nice guy?
He could be very loving. Very loving.
He was loving?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when did he change?
When you were babies.
Really? Just like little babies?
Mm-hmm. He didn't like crying. And the little baby was all blue for days.
The baby was all blue for days.
Mm-hmm.
Me?
Wilfred Moore.
Oh, God. Why didn't you leave him? I mean, after he treated you so badly.
Well, I thought maybe he would straighten out. Try to give it a chance for the kid's sake. I don't know. There was nobody I could turn to anyway. Nobody.
What about Grandma and Grandpa?
No way.
Couldn't Grandma help you? Didn't anybody ever help you?
Nobody.
Nobody?
Nobody.
Not a single friend in the world?
No, nobody.
And what about the police and that? Couldn't they help you?
No way. They told me to go home and try and solve it with him.
Weren't you ever angry? Weren't you mad at this man?
Of course.
This man beating the kids?
Of course I was very angry.
What did you do with your anger?
Bury it. What could I do?
I couldn't bury my anger any longer. When I ran away from Dad's farm, back to Mom, she wouldn't let me stay. I had to know why. Didn't you know we were going to be sexually assaulted again?
No, I didn't.
But I told you. I mean,
Yeah, I know that was after. I mean, just, well,
sometime when I ran away from home, I told you things were happening there.
and that's why I sent you away. So it wouldn't
But
happen no
back
more.
to him. I went back to him. You sent me back to him.
I guess I did.
Did you ever wonder about me? Wonder where I was all those years?
Yes, I did.
How come you didn't try to get in touch with me?
I couldn't. I tried, but I couldn't.
Because I
Because I
wasn't...
didn't know where you were.
I thought you didn't love me. You never sent me a birthday card, a Christmas card. I never... Like, how come you didn't... Nobody took a picture of me? I don't have any sense of myself as a child. And I thought you didn't love me.
It was never that. There was too much going on. I couldn't think of anything.
Well, I want you to know that I still don't blame you. I know it's... I didn't understand all then that I know now.
It's all over. I'm thankful for that.
And it's better, isn't it?
It's much better.
And it's going to get better.
I hope for it.
He took so much away from her, even her children. I realize now, Mom was a victim too. She didn't protect me, but she couldn't even take care of herself. She was afraid of him too. I know how hard it is to be a good parent.
That's fine. That's good.
Is that enough book?
Excellent.
How many did you bring, Jeff? That'll tell you whether it's enough. 3 people, 3 forks.
Would you like some bread? Like one of these? Can you eat a whole one or just half?
Just half.
Okay. Try one of those.
You want some lettuce, Jeffrey? Some salad?
Want some lettuce in there too?
Yeah, but I'll make sure there's none on your plate. You start with that and see how that goes. How's the chili? Good?
Yeah. That's good. How do you chili?
Exquisite.
After you eat all of this meat?
Sure.
What did you do in preschool today? Did you go
I was afraid to have a child. No one taught me how to mother, and at first that frightened me.
Read books?
I didn't want my abuse to get in the way of loving Jeffrey. And sometimes it has, and I have to keep myself open to seeing that.
Put the butter side up so that it doesn't get...
John's love for Jeffrey has helped so much.
Try getting a bit closer, okay? Okay. Try reaching your arm out as far as you can. Attaboy. See? Pretty good, eh? Watch, he'll peel the whole thing now. Just eat the inside. Great, eh? Try a different kind of seed this time.
This one?
No, that's a sunflower seed. Try another one, smaller one. Little tiny one. See if
This
you can,
one?
yeah. See if he'll take it. I think he's getting to like you.
Yeah.
I want Mom to meet Jeffrey. I may have lost 20 years, but Mom lost a lifetime. I stayed for a few more days, and then I left to see my sister Linda. Linda is 1 year older than I am. I used to think of her as the lucky one. She didn't have to live with Dad all the time. After she was 8, she lived with Mom. I thought she had it made, but Dad found ways of getting to her too. She left school after grade 6. Now she's married and has 3 children, and she's just begun a new career.
I love the title.
She's got a big plaque.
Yeah, right. Should say Linda, esthetician, you know.
I mean, when you first told me, I couldn't even say the word.
Took me a while, too. I didn't think I could do it. Do you know what I mean? The little bit of schooling I had, and it's given me, like, I'm somebody. I'm Linda. I can do something, too. I'm not a mat anymore, you know.
You're not a what?
A mat.
A mat.
Right.
That's how you felt?
Yeah, quite often. This'll get your blood circulation going.
Yeah, I know. Holy crow.
I'm not using too much pressure.
As long as it gets rid of my double chin, I think I can.
You can do a little bit of exercise.
Oh my goodness. At 14, I ran away and was placed in a foster home. For years, Linda and I hardly saw one another.
How were you when Jeff was born? What was it when you had his son?
I thought the whole 9 months there was a little baby girl in my belly. Like there was no way that there was a boy. And I was all prepared for this girl, and I was going to bring this girl up real nice and liberated. And then Jeffrey was born, and I just knew as his head came out that this was a boy. Like before I even saw his little penis, this thing was a boy. And it floored me, and I couldn't bond with him. I didn't know what was wrong. All I knew is that he was John's baby. He was not my baby. And I had to give the baby to John. I had to be sure that baby was well protected and loved, but it must not be by me. And I didn't know why. It took me 13 months to find out.
Did you know
Do you know what it was?
What?
I thought I had given birth to Dad. I thought I gave birth to another offender. This little baby boy was going to grow up to be an offender.
Did you know I experienced jealousy when Jeff was born?
What kind of jealousy?
I had never wanted a girl, ever. I never wanted a girl. God couldn't curse me so much as to give me a girl.
Why?
And he gave me 3. 3 girls. I could not cope. When Thelina was born, I said, "Whoa, what is it?" He said, "A girl." I said, "Shove it back. Let it finish growing. I don't want it." And then same with Crystal. It had to be a boy. It could not be a girl. I did not want a girl because...
What would happen if it was a girl? Why?
She'd probably go through the same thing as I did.
I try to remember how old I was when Dad first started coming on to me. And you know what? I go back. I can't remember when he didn't. Like I can remember. To me, I get the sense that I wasn't walking yet. Do you remember how?
I think I was 2. I'm sure I was 2 years old. Because I remember he wanted me to touch him down there, and I didn't. I remember being put in a closet until Mom came home. Mom told me she remembered that time because the closet stunk of urine and everything else. My diaper was still wet. And I still remember. I can still remember.
You still remember? I
get like flashbacks or something that come in.
As if you were really tiny. And it started like with touching, like to put,
Suck on the sucker.
Oh, is that what he said to you?
Yeah, lots.
Suck on the sucker?
I can remember he'd say to me, "This is a lollipop. You like candy. And this is a lollipop."
Do you remember what you felt?
I don't.
Could you breathe?
No, I couldn't breathe. It was like I was being strangled. I remember that. But I remember the first time Dad went all the way with me when I was 5. I remember that. And Mom came home, and I was bleeding down there because he had been so big. And Mom came home and asked what happened. And then Dad had said, well, she sat on a board with a nail in it.
God, I remember that. I remember the story about the board with the nail.
And I kept, you know, now later, I keep wondering, well, why didn't she take me to a doctor and get me checked up? Why?
Well, maybe she believed that. Maybe she wanted to believe that.
Even if I believed it on my own children, you know, it would still be, well, I'd still want them checked up to see why.
Remember when we told? I went to Auntie Frida's or Grandma's, and I told Frida. I don't know. I've never thought I could tell Mom, because I thought somehow if I told Mom, I just didn't think that was the person to go to. I didn't think she would understand.
I did tell Mom.
I guess on some level.
I told Mom once too.
How old were you?
I think that was when I was about 7 years old.
So that was after.
Before the court, wasn't it?
I don't know, but I know that I remember the courtroom. I remember the judge. I remember Lawyer Green.
Oh, you're going to go to hell if you tell the truth. You know, if you don't have the exact time, the exact date, you're going to go to hell because you're lying. But how can you tell how many days there were? There were so many. I'd be walking down the street and guys used to try to push me in their car just because about court, it got into the newspapers. Guys used to literally try to push me and, you're so hard up you had to go to bed with your own dad, you can go to bed with me now. And it was constantly like that for me, constantly.
Nobody was on your side. I mean, I was not on your side. I just thought you were, you know, I never even knew that you were pregnant with Dad's baby. I thought it was, I found out years later. How come you never let me know?
Okay, Larry, Wolf, you, Mom, everybody, Grandma and Grandpa, they all thought I was such a slut anyway. And Dad's already done enough damage to us, to all of us.
You were trying to protect us?
You would have figured, well, I guess you could say protect.
Or maybe you thought we wouldn't believe you.
That too. I remember it so well.
And the baby, I never saw the baby. What did the baby...
It was deformed. Its front body was up. Its hips were pushed right to the side like this, and its legs came down, and her eyes were crossed.
How long did she live?
I don't know. I didn't keep her. She had her fingers together, and I remember I said,
but she did die.
I never want to see the baby. I never want to see it. You keep it away from me. I don't want to see it. And the nurse put it in my arms. Oh, I'll never forget. I tried to tell a priest that it was my dad's baby. I didn't want it. And the priest said, no, you know, that's not right. Don't accuse your dad. You're supposed to respect, honor thy father, honor thy mother. It didn't matter. Everybody thought I was such a sleaze anyway. What difference did it make if it was Dad's or Dad's or somebody else's baby?
The baby died, right?
Yeah, eventually. I can't remember when because I blocked it out. I even named her. I gave her a name. It was bad enough she had a mother that didn't really want her.
I was so horrible to you. I was never of any support. When I went to the foster home, I thought, I've got normality now. I've got this white house. I've got these foster parents. And I thought, well, I had to give away the sleazy, slutty family I came from. And you were part of that. That's why when you came to see me in Toronto, I just called you a sleazy bitch.
Linda and her husband found that living in a small town does not protect children. When their middle daughter was 11, she was abused by a neighbor.
So Thelina didn't tell you she had been abused?
She told me after I had asked. I sort of said, Thelina, you've been having nightmares lately. Can you tell me why? Because I knew something was bothering her, but you don't know quite what. And then she came out and told me the whole thing, so it was sort of like half on her own and half with me asking. Dennis and I love the kids so much. We never hurt them. We don't spank them. We don't believe in spanking. We believe in talking and just loving. Why? What gives a right to some Joe Blow to come up and hurt my child? Was it because I was abused? Does it say sucker on your face? Did he know?
You know, for 14 years, we never talked to each other.
You phoned me on my wedding day, though.
Did I?
You did. From a hospital, I think you were in.
Yeah.
It seemed like you had so much of a life of your own. I was so happy the day I seen you, though. Oh. Finally got to meet your nieces.
You guys thought I was so upstanding and so together. And there I was, rotting in a mental institute.
But you got help. You had...
That's right.
You built your world up.
Help that you didn't get. And I think that has made a whole lot of difference between the two of us.
Yeah, you're so liberated. How did you ever get that way? You know, how did you ever get that way?
I struggled. As a teenager, I never felt accepted, and I could never really accept myself. I tried, but I just couldn't. At times, I felt so depressed, it seemed easier to die. I was 17 before I found a good, caring doctor. It took us 9 years to work through it.
Well, you'd start saying things like, no, no, don't. Or you'd start...
What were you doing when I said, no, no, don't?
I was sitting there watching, trying to understand what was going on. And then after
I had sort of drifted off or something.
Yeah, you would be psychotic at the time, and what you would be doing was reacting in my office as if you were back in your family home, and your father was coming towards you or going to do something to you. And we would go through the experience of feeling that I was going to be the attacker, and acting out that possibility, or you'd hallucinate visually yourself and your father involved in sexual activities.
In the room?
In the room. And that would just last briefly at times, and then when you got to trust me more, those sometimes would last quite a while. And then I'd try and bring you back by telling you, giving as much information about the reality that you were in, and then we talk about what you'd experienced. But just to scare me sometimes, I used to be frightened about what was going to happen, whether you were going to be able to pull yourself together. You'd wish for things from your family that they couldn't deliver. You'd go away at Christmas time, full of plans to return to Winnipeg and buy your mother's affection with gifts and money, and when you'd come back broken and hurt. And I'd be scared for you about what would happen.
I thought I could get her somehow to... You know, one thing you taught me was how to let go of unrealistic goals. I mean, I could not make her love me. I tried, and you helped me to see that I had to let go of that. And that relationship was never going to be there. I was never going to have a mother in the capacity that a normal child has. I was never going to have a father. It was so hard to let go of those things, so hard to let go of knowing I was not going to be a loved child. Well, I found out that wasn't the only kind of love in the world, and that you don't die without it.
Yeah. But you began to get love from lots of people.
Yeah.
Good love, good caring love.
It's great wind. Of course, then we'd probably... I'll put the rudders on the back.
Janny's been with me since grade 11, my first long relationship. To her, I was never crazy. She simply accepted that I was different. She stayed away when I needed distance, and she came closer when I was ready.
Okay.
She never made me feel small. I used to go to her house, and we'd spend hours together, talking through the night. She told me I was strong. That's what I needed to hear.
good day, okay? Give me keys to work. Okay? Take care. See you later.
Okay. Say bye, Mom.
Bye, Mom.
Bye, sweetie.
Well, they're still answering back.
I never thought I could be anyone of value, but work helped to change that for me.
Well, maybe see if I can get the engineer to put in a modem and take out the line driver. What do you think?
The first good job I had was as a clerk for the telephone company. And without being at all sure of myself, I worked my way up to technician.
Yeah, I'm going to be a couple more minutes, right?
Now I'm a supervisor in the engineering department.
All right.
I'll see you in a bit.
Each success reassures me that I am worthwhile, something I seem to continually have to prove. It's easy to hide from personal relationships in the technical world. There was a time when that really suited me.
Well, I have a few down on the 4th floor.
Now I find I'm choosing work that brings me closer to people.
Good idea.
We're a professional. Somebody should tell you. We should have a guide. We shouldn't do it on our own, because it can be dangerous.
John and I met at work. I never thought I would marry, and when John first asked me, I said no. I was afraid of being absorbed by him, of losing my spirit, and I'd only just found it.
Looks sort of like corn.
There's a family in here, I think, John.
Pardon me?
I think there's a family in there.
Family.
A family of wood ducks.
We've been together for 10 years now, and we've had to make some adjustments, particularly in our sexual relationship.
Look at this.
I still have to feel as though I am in control.
Isn't it? Can you make your world-famous duck call and attract a few ducks?
He's so unlike my dad.
That one there was the cool duck.
He finds power from within himself instead of stealing it from others.
Very primitive ducks. That's what I need. This is amazing. It's a bad way.
I'm able to trust him.
Oh yeah, great blue.
Sitting right on the tree. Oh, what a good picture. Start working on it, and you could see what's gonna come out on it.
Well, I can see there's brass under there.
Oh yeah, this is all solid brass. Yeah.
My brother Larry and Mona restore antique furniture.
Just to replace this piece, you're looking at about $10.
Larry is the youngest of us, and we all tried to protect him from Dad, but sometimes it wasn't possible. When I got away, it was Larry I most wanted to rescue, and I did for a while. We shared an apartment. I worked and he finished school. We tried so hard to be a normal family. Can't believe you're living in the country.
Why?
Because you always hated the country.
Do you blame me?
No, I think we all hated the country.
I used to sneak out the basement window, climb up on the oil tank out the window, and Dad had this thing on his car that they used to carry the instruments in. Remember that thing? And he used to whistle.
2 miles down the road, you could hear the car coming, you hear the whistling.
Quarter mile
so you know,
away,
we're
so
gonna
you had
dive
about
into that right
30
back.
seconds to get home, right?
Back
In
in the
bed.
basement. So nobody would know.
Oh no.
Yeah, that was pretty
Did
bad.
you ever get caught?
We got caught once, though, when they went out.
No.
And we thought they were gone, and we snuck back upstairs. We were peeking through the kitchen window, and when they were gone, we turned the TV on, because we weren't supposed to watch TV.
Yeah.
And they came driving back up the driveway with the lights off, real quiet, right, and snuck in.
They wanted to catch
Yeah,
you.
they did, too. We got it that night. What did Dad used to do for a living?
He's an entertainer.
No, other than that, didn't he
musician.
work during the day?
I
Because
think he
remember,
had
he used to,
odd
didn't he bring a
jobs
concrete
every now
truck
and then.
home once, too?
I don't know.
Or he was going to? Was he a truck
I
driver?
don't
See,
have
I
a clue
can't even
what he
remember
did.
that.
See, he never talked to us. He
That's
never
right.
told us who he was. We didn't even know what our father did for a living, and
We
we,
knew he
lived
sang,
there.
yeah, but-
We knew he sang,
Yeah.
but he had
But
these
during
other.
the day, like, what did he do during the day? When he
They
was like,
never. We never knew anything about the family.
Isn't that strange?
I don't. Do you know who your aunts and uncles are? Do you know how many brothers and sisters your father had? I bet you haven't got a clue.
No, a few of them.
Does he have family?
Wow.
Who? What? Where are my roots? You haven't got a single. We were not talked to about anything. We were just simply used. I think Larry changed a lot after he met you. He grew in his confidence or something. I see big changes.
Oh, yeah. When I first met him, he was such a negative person. Oh, yes. You're so negative. Everything. Oh, that was no good, was it? Playing guitar or something like that. And you would have to tell him, no, it was great.
I need reinsurance.
But now I just find just in the last, I would say 6 to 8 months, he has gone from way down here to up here.
I notice it.
I know people say you shouldn't work together and live together, but it goes good for us.
Yeah.
Like we've been together for 4 years straight now,
Almost
solid
straight,
every day
yeah.
almost.
Yeah, working together.
Yeah, and still when I'm away from her, she's away from me. She calls me, you know, in an hour. When you coming home?
I miss you, go home.
I can't believe that. I think there's something wrong there. That's not supposed to be right like that.
Oh, sure.
Well, what's
I
right
love you.
for you? Oh. Do you ever think because you were abused that you might get violent like that yourself?
No, I don't think so. I think I can control it. I hit her once, I must say.
He pretty well broke down and said he would never do it again, and never did.
Yeah, that was bad news.
Were you ever afraid, though, marrying him? I mean, here's this guy, he came from...
Yeah, that was even before we were married.
Yeah, no, after that, when he did that, I knew that he would never do it again. Because just the look of his face showed that, I don't know, it just showed that it wouldn't happen. He's always joking and having a good time. And
Yeah, that's right. For all the bad times I had, I have to make up for it and have a good time all the time.
And that's good.
You have a good time?
More now, it's taking me longer. It's taking me a long time to get less serious and to let my hair down and giggle.
I think you're a very serious person.
Yeah.
But do you know, I'm getting a lot...
I noticed a change in you from when I saw you at the wedding.
At your wedding.
Yeah, then when I saw you the other day,
It
was strange. When I saw you in the car there, I felt, wow. I felt even closer than the last time I saw you for the first time, you know what I mean? You're
When
different
you
all
walked
the
through
time.
the door, it was like, here's this reborn person again or something. Just so much life in your face and beauty, and it was great.
Or radiant? Oh. Most of my life, I thought it only happened in my family. I felt so isolated, even in therapy. Then I discovered I was not alone. We are in the millions. We've been made to feel ashamed and guilty, especially if our bodies responded. Talking about our experience helps. I work with members of a survivor group.
I really think that I just blanked it out of my mind. Tried to forget about it and never happened.
When it first started for me, I believed that it would kill my mother. And that was really true for me. That it would hurt her. So that's how I explained it, that I wouldn't say anything, or I would just accept it. So I accepted it.
When I was about 14, I guess somehow I decided that there was something just too sexy about me, and I'd been born that way, and so somehow I was, it was all my fault. And then what I did was eat myself into oblivion so that I'd get so fat that you could not tell that I had any sexual parts. So I did that for years. For years I was just very, very fat. I
do remember that I could not look at myself in a mirror. That I really found my body to be very disgusting. I was so ashamed of my body. And to this day, I still find that to be a problem, accepting my body and you know, liking myself.
For some of us, even a single incident has had major consequences.
But it was my obligation.
Sexual abuse happens in all kinds of families.
He's an attorney, and people go to him for advice. He's always been very involved in his church, on the board, and what I'm realizing is that I've been taking care of him. I've been protecting him to keep him and the people he cares about from knowing this horrible truth. Feeling guilty if I want something for me, some relief for me to tell, I want to tell, then I'm feeling guilty because it might hurt him. And right now I'm feeling strong, and I'm not going to do that anymore. He has to take care of himself, and I'm taking care of me.
I had been taking care of myself, facing my family, but there was still something I had to do. I had to go back to Pipeline Road, even if I was afraid. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I knew my journey wouldn't be complete until I went there. The people who live there now said I could look around. Night after night I lay there, afraid to sleep, wondering when his hand would reach for me next. I always went to bed with my clothes on, hoping to protect myself, but I couldn't. It's there that I learned how to leave my body on the bed and to take myself to a safer place where he couldn't get me. I would hide in the wall, a place too hard and too cold for him to touch. But when he took me upstairs and put me in a chair, I had nowhere to go. And he took me until there was almost no me left. I'd always felt a part of me had been missing. But in that basement, I recovered the child who had been hiding in the wall. She was the survivor in me. She had always been there. She has made me feel strong.